Hello and welcome everyone to the third episode of our Talking with Apes podcast. It is Pride Month in the US and we wanted to honor that by doing a very special LGBTQI plus edition. It has been 20 years since the very first gay marriages happened in Amsterdam, and yeah, we are still facing, unfortunately, a lot of discrimination in Europe and especially also in the rest of the world. So today I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Izzy, and I'm gonna just let her introduce herself.
I guess I'm Izzy Claerhout and I'm here to recruit you.
Yes, so Izzy has been working in recruitment for a while now. She's on the list of experts on diversity and inclusion, something she doesn't like to...
you wouldn't mention.
She doesn't like to brag about it, but I do think she definitely has some expertise on the issue of inclusion in the workspace, especially. And yeah, so let's jump into it. It is the year 2020, and we have seen a very big rise, actually, in hate crimes all over the world, which is very unfortunate, especially in a time where, due to Corona, Pride cannot happen. So, I just wanted to, start with a really open question to you. What does Pride mean for you?
We start with the easy questions, it seems.
We start with the personal questions.
I think pride is literally what the word says it is. It is about being proud of who you are. I think it has to do a lot more than just having a manifestation once a year. It is about showing that we are there and be open and be visible.
Yeah, I read an article the other day about how pride is also very important, considering the joy it brings to the community, which we often don't receive. Often the LGBT community is only in the media when it comes to discrimination or hate crimes, etc. And Pride is the one time a year when we get to celebrate, just being who we are, and we don't have to be ashamed of that. And yeah, that's very important. Also, if we look at, for example, how many people don't feel like they can have that community in their country, it's important that we can do it here, as we can use the rights we have here. I also think there's some sort of responsibility in having the freedom here to fight for the rights of LGBT people all over the world.
I think we shouldn't forget that it is because of pride itself that we have these freedoms. So I think we need pride worldwide, everywhere, at every time. But especially we shouldn't forget how far we've come. And we should take the opportunity to embrace that and try to inspire people all across the world. And just more than in Pride Month alone, be open and be proud wherever you are.
Yes, buy that rainbow face mask and walk around with it all over the place. Okay, so I just wanted to pose some questions of why are some countries doing better at LGBT rights than others? So if we look at Malta, for example, in 2016, they introduced a law that criminalized any sort of conversion therapy. They were the first ones to do so. And the bill also stated that neither sexual orientation nor gender identification can be classified as a disease, disorder, or shortcoming of any sort. In addition, the age at which people can independently request their gender to be changed in official documents was also lowered to from 18 to 16. And this kind of put Malta on top of the Liga list of what are the best countries.
I believe it's also one of the 12 countries that has LGBTQI plus rights embedded in the constitution.
Yeah, exactly. Which is also something we don't have. We don't see in any other European country. Do you have any like idea of how we can work towards that?
I think that's a very difficult question,
Yeah.
and it's going to be different for every country. But I think for us in Belgium, at least, I've seen in the past decades the movement growing more and more silent, as if we're content with the rights we have today, while they are still volatile. I think we need to keep being out there. We need to talk about this, and every opportunity we get, just be open and make people see that they all know one of us.
Yeah. Yeah, being visible is a really big aspect. And you are openly queer at work too, right? Or like people know you have a girlfriend or like a joy friend.
Yeah, we call them joy friends because, well, what do you call a non-binary partner? And she's a joy in my life. And anyway, I'm always open because, I mean, I don't even know how my voice sounds. Does it sound female, male? I don't know. So I just figure people will notice that I'm trans anyway. So why not live up to it? Why not just be proud of it? And honestly, I'm noticing that most people respect it more than that they dare to discriminate.
I mean, that's a very positive, thing to notice, because like when I was looking for just a student job, I was very anxious that there would be discrimination because, for example, my legal papers aren't like matching the name that I chose yet, etc. And it just puts you in some really weird situations where your CV has several names on it and stuff like that.
I know the feeling.
So yeah. And I think especially in the trans community, there is some very obvious things that could be better in Belgium still. For example, there's not that much awareness yet, I think, around the subject in Belgium. Like I don't see a lot of people feel comfortable with using non-binary pronouns in Dutch. Like I've never seen someone do that actually. Like die hun, like.
I even think that die hun is quite recent, like somewhere around a year now. So non-binary in Belgium is quite a new concept. I think it will need some time. But I think compared to a lot of other countries, when it comes to the subject of trans, we are quite ahead already.
We are definitely when it comes to like changing of legal name and surgeries and medical treatment in any way and stuff like that.
Even about general knowledge. What I'm noticing is that a couple of role models like Petra de Sutter, Bo van Spilbeek have done amazing work with being open about their coming out, but everything is put in this one idea of being born in the wrong body, which might not be entirely wrong.
It's very binary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even for a binary trans person as me, it's not entirely, it's not like I got born in the wrong body. I don't know, it's just a very simplified way of looking at trans, but it does not help.
It might be the experience of some trans people, but it's not
absolutely
everyone's experience. Yeah.
Absolutely. Sometimes jokingly, I even say that when I was in heaven and I was going down to earth, I was standing in the wrong line when they were handing out gender. My bad. Really my bad. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. No, so yeah, you're actually quite optimistic, I hear, which I like to hear from someone who has been in the workforce for a while. And like I'm still a student, so I don't really have a view of how society treats trans people in the employee field.
I think I'm optimistic because I'm also lucky. I'm lucky enough that I can be myself, but I'm also realistic enough to know that I'm an exception. And being lucky entails that I need to be open, that I need to occasionally talk about my queerness, hopefully to inspire people, but also just to show that it is possible. And being trans doesn't
recruiting them.
Absolutely. I'm going to adopt a sentence. I mean, I stole it from Harvey Milk, maybe, but it goes with the job I do. But today I'm starting my own company. Being trans doesn't hold me back for doing what I want to do. And I can say that, but not a lot of people can say that. So I think it just gives me a moral duty, maybe, not to hide in a closet and try to fit in and pass.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something very interesting with trans people, that you can do that to some extent. Like, you know, at some point you can technically just... Oof, an airplane is approaching.
Oh no, it's coming for us.
A helicopter.
I have a searchlight.
Someone is identifying as an helicopter.
That's bad. That's really bad. I think you need to cut that out.
Oh my god, we did this questionnaire in school, and so many people wrote that. And it was really bad.
It was really sucky. Okay.
And like the teacher was like, does anyone know what this is about? Because she was just completely oblivious. And I like, you know, I knew what it was about, but I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just going to leave her like innocent.
Yeah, sometimes it's best not to comment.
Yeah. Yeah, now I forgot what I was saying.
Something about helicopter.
Yeah, but like these stupid jokes, like they were around when I was in high school, and they were even around like when I started university. I feel like now it's maybe there's a bit more awareness around the topic. But like even LGBT stuff, like when I was in high school, I brought a girl to prom, and that was like a thing.
How dare you?
Yes.
I think when I was in high school, it wasn't much different.
Yeah.
Everybody thought I was gay, but I never brought a boyfriend. That was like, it was exotic.
Exotic, yeah, because like I was always kind of into arts and stuff, and people would tell me that, you know, me being into women was like very fitting because it like kind of accompanied that exotic artistic vibe.
Oh, now I know why you're trans. If you're into women,
Yeah.
and you change your gender, you're straight again.
Exactly, but the only catch is right now I'm dating a guy. Yeah, so that happened. Turns out I'm not really just into women. Anyways, so yeah, I think every LGBT person has those weird stories of discrimination that are like more subtle, even if you are very lucky.
I think the invisible discrimination is the more difficult one, because I remember my first coming out. I'm actually on my second try now, way more successful. But I remember the first one, and I got hired in a job. I tried very hard. I never got a promotion. I think I did 25 internal applications for each and single, except for the last one, because I was frustrated. I didn't qualify for that one at all. So I get that I didn't get it. But the 24 other ones, I actually did qualify. And I saw all of my colleagues getting new jobs. The funny part was when I gave up on trying to transition, because I've never considered myself as the girly girl, and back in the days, 10 years ago, you had to, in order to be allowed to transition. Like a couple of weeks after breaking the news, so here's the thing, I'm not going to go through, I'm staying a guy or something, I got a promotion. Oh, I also had an official evaluation with my boss where she basically said she was very happy that I decided not to pursue it and it would be a very good thing for my career. That was an official conversation.
Interesting.
Yeah. I won't forget you.
Interesting, yes. I don't know what to say about that.
But that part wasn't the invisible part.
Yeah,
That's the part that made me realize, oh wait, I wasn't imagining this. I think that's the most difficult thing.
So you think that the most difficult is when you're not sure whether you're just imagining it or whether it's actually there?
I think for me at least, it's extremely frustrating. There are a couple of people who don't talk to me anymore since my transition. At least I know. I don't mind insults. I do mind them, but I can deal with them. But the invisible part, the needing to wonder, is it because I'm trans? Is it because you don't like me? Just knowing that you are being discriminated and you can't prove it, so you can't really do anything about it. It is hella frustrating.
Yeah. Okay, so getting back to what is happening in the world. So I just wanted to, share some good news that has been happening in this year when it comes to LGBT rights. So as a part of the EU LGBTQI equality strategy, long name, the European Commission announced to set up an expert group on gender stereotypes and bullying regarding education. So they're actually gonna really hone in on making education as gender inclusive as possible. And they formulated as inclusive education and gender equality in all their diversity. So also including non-binary genders, fluid genders, etc. Which I think is really a good thing that I at least never experienced in my school education. I don't know how.
I don't think anybody has.
Remember that. Yeah, it was very much like, so you have an XY chromosome and you have an XX chromosome, and this is your role in life. I mean,
then there's like one kid that goes like, I have an XXY chromosome.
And then the biology teacher is either just like doesn't know what to say or like fascinating.
Or like calling the kid a liar.
Yeah. Well, our teacher was always very interested in like these queer exceptions of nature.
Oh, we're an exception now, is it?
Like he also like we actually had a class talking about like one hour or something where they gave us this whole introduction into sexuality, and there was some diversity in sexuality included.
For us it was a banana and a condom.
Oh.
Yeah. The class didn't really move on past that point anymore.
We even had like a sexuality day, and they invited people from Het Roze Huis, like an LGBT organization here in Antwerp.
Okay,
so,
you were in a way more progressive school.
I was in a very Catholic school. We just had some gay teachers.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. I think the thing teachers said in my school when there was a kid coming out or something, I don't have a problem with that. And they're pretty proud of it.
Yeah. I also like the whole like, you're such a, like, especially boys with each other, they would have a lot of, you're a, an F-word or like no homo when they would like touch in any way. And like, you know, just that kind of stupid, like, homophobia. Yeah, I don't know. It was a weird time.
Obviously, the kids are also mean.
Yeah, so I do think it's very important to address this. Also, like a friend of mine, he wanted to teach, he had to teach a class on sexuality and gender. And when he wanted to explain the difference between gender, sexuality, and, you know, sex that you are born with, biology-wise, the teacher said that he wasn't allowed to because that would be too confusing to the students. But then something beautiful actually happened, because the reaction from the students was that they would ask him about, like, because he was doing this old like thing with, you know, like, what is a job for women? What is a job for guys? And then the progressive part of that class would be like, oh, you can do any job if you want to, you know? But like the beautiful thing was that the students would actually be like, oh, okay, but like we're talking about gender. So what about like someone that doesn't really identify with a gender, or like what about trans people? And then he got actually some sort of chance to explain it. But the teacher, the old teacher, because this was like his internship, the teacher didn't want him to talk about it because he thought it would just be too confusing for the children.
I think you need to start with the teachers.
Yeah.
I remember 10 years ago, we had an organization, and it was quite revolutionary at the time, the idea. We didn't want to go to a classroom and teach children about gender. So we actually went to the teachers and we tried to open a debate with the teachers, because in our previous experience, we saw that there were quite a bit of teachers who just simply disagreed. So there's not a lot of point in going into a classroom and opening up a subject that an hour later a teacher just makes fun of, which really does happen. So I think we just need to look at that part first and talk to the teachers, get them on board, and the rest will follow.
Yeah. Okay, like to another exciting topic in the things that we are now luckily allowed to do. We are so lucky, of course, in our wonderful generation. We should be so grateful.
I'm so grateful.
So Croatia recently allowed adoption for same-sex couples, and I'm not sure if that includes trans people, but like same-sex couples at least. And like I don't know if you've looked into adoption in Belgium, for example. Like it is quite a process you have to go through, and there is still quite some discrimination present there. For example, I read a book the other day about a gay couple that adopted a kid. Because, you know, I'm going to start HRT now and I have to basically talk about what about children. And I was like, well, you know, I can always adopt. And then I was like, okay, but what would that mean? So I looked into that. And yeah, like, for example, any sort of adoption with people that, like, of children that are not born in Belgium is almost impossible, because all of the countries that Belgium is a partner with are countries that don't allow same-sex couples to adopt.
So you are excluded as a gay person.
Exactly. And these children are going to live here. They're going to like grow up in our society. Though I don't completely understand why that makes sense. Like as long as the parents... Because with adoption, you usually don't have like a lot of contact with the parents anyways. And then also in Belgium, if, you know, a girl is pregnant and she gets the kid and she wants to give it up for adoption, she has the right to say, I don't want this kid to be adopted by a gay couple, which I also think is kind of problematic. And I just wanted to like, you know.
I'm a fan of rights, but if you give up your child, I think you give up the right to say much on that front. saying very dangerous things here now. I obviously hate it. I mean, I know that as a gay couple in Belgium, it is not impossible, and it is allowed to adopt, yet it is extremely difficult. There is no, I think, systemic discrimination in there. There is systemic racism, though. There is no systemic discrimination in there, at least. But that doesn't mean there is no discrimination at all. I think it is a process, an evolving something. Can't get the words out right there. That we need to go through. And to get back to the subject where we started, that is where you need pride.
Exactly.
That is where you need to address the issue, talk to people, and make them see that there is still that issue.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like pride should become maybe a bit more political again. Like sometimes I feel like if you go to the parade, there's very little information to be gathered.
There's a lot of political parties,
yes,
and there's a lot of brands and balloons.
But I would like to hear about these things. You know, like this I only know because I read a full book of more than 200 pages on adoption and the whole process you have to go through as an LGBT couple. I couldn't even find this information really online, because online it's all centered around like, oh, you're a straight couple that wants to adopt because you can't get babies, you know,
so
biologically. So, and you have way more options, etc. in that case. And yeah, so I just feel like sometimes I would like there to be more information at Pride. And if a brand wants to participate or something, maybe they should be obliged to also provide some sort of, you know, like reason to why they are allowed to be there, or like some sort of...
Or like you pretend to be something on the outside that you're not on the inside, you mean?
Yeah, it's like greenwashing, but rainbow washing, you know? Like you go to Pride, but at the same time, if a homophobe would like run your shop, you wouldn't necessarily fire them. You know, like it's
cool to put out a rainbow.
Yeah, because you don't want to like not have us as customers, but like for example in the US,
they realize it's 16% of the population now. We have power.
For example, in the US, there's several brands that make a whole Pride collection, but at the same time they fund politicians. You know that like in the US you can pay politicians, like they fund politicians that are proposing anti-trans and anti-gay and lesbian laws. Like, how do those go together? I think they don't go together. Yeah, exactly. They don't go together. And I think it's our right to be a bit more salty about that than we are sometimes nowadays. And I've even like seen some really stupid people of the LGBT community be like, oh, we don't need Pride anymore. Like, it's fine. Like, I don't face any discrimination. And I don't know,
There's a concept, it's ages old, it's called solidarity.
Yeah.
Again, I'm saying these dangerous words here. I think we shouldn't forget about that. I don't face discrimination today in my job. I dare to say that. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be open.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I am not going to fight for people who do, because I personally know a lot of people who face discrimination. I sometimes even get requests that I can't agree with, and I don't just say I don't agree with them. I simply say I don't agree with it, and I'm going to do just exactly the opposite of it. I think you need to dare to stand up and fight. And I think you need to move one step further than that. Even if you are not a member of our nice rainbow community, there's a thing like allyship. Mm-hmm. Stand up, speak up. Don't be afraid. Don't ignore things. And if there are companies who do rainbow washing, address them on that. Don't work with them. Again, I'm saying dangerous things here, especially as an entrepreneur, but act.
Yes. Yeah, the slogan or like the motto for this year's Antwerp Pride is not just words, right? Or not only words. No?
I actually don't know what the slogan is.
Yeah, no, it's more than words. It's more than words. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes, that's the slogan of this year. And yeah, I do think that that's incredibly important. Also, like, for example, Switzerland doesn't allow gay marriage yet. There's like these countries where you would just assume that it's okay to be whoever you want to be, and then it turns out it's not, because of some old laws that just don't get abolished for some weird reason. Like, I don't know, I think it's very important that we know about these issues, because only then we can fight them. And what better time to get educated on them than Pride? And not everyone of our community should have to like do that research on themselves. Like, it should be...
Maybe we should get educated in school.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's something you can fight for, but I also think like during Pride, really educating people on this should be every ally's main, objective. Like, if you're a teacher, that's something you can do. But if you work in some other company, you can always just talk about it. If you're just a random person, you can just go to a cafe and talk about it with your friends, and that way you do educate people. And if one friend reads about that Italy still doesn't have laws to punish homophobic hate crimes, if another person speaks about, like how the Egyptian police have used Grindr in the past to prosecute gay men, like, there's all of these things that are happening, and we rarely hear about them except for if it's very close to us. Like, for example, David, I forgot his last name, but who got killed here near Antwerp, which is horrible.
As far as we know, the second homophobic murder in Belgium. Luckily, only the second, but still, I don't believe there's been enough frustration or anger about it.
I mean, it's like Belgium is the second best in Europe, like, so basically the second best worldwide, probably like at least according to Liga, which is the lesbian and gay and queer and intersex and trans association. They should change their name.
Yeah, it's going to become a very long name.
Yes, exactly. So that organization put Belgium in the second place, and still within the last 5 years, we've had 2 gay men that were killed.
We've had plenty of assaults.
Yes.
Discrimination. A lot of things, really.
Yeah. So, yeah. And like you told me, I don't know if you want to talk about it, like what happened with Manon's friend in...
I prefer to keep that up to them. But if you want a sad sob story...
No, don't.
I'm happy to talk about one of my own.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Well, happy is not a word, really. But early in my transition, so I think 6 months ago, I was living at the coast for a couple of weeks. Literally, in Dutch we say uitwaaien, which would literally translate to blow out. So
okay.
So to relax, just to say to relax and to get away from things a little bit. It were still the early months of Corona, lockdown again. It was just good to be at the coast, and I would I would just go for evening walks. I was like a little coastal village. It was nice. And I would do evening walks for like an hour or 2 hours a day. And one evening, I actually got assaulted by 3 guys who believed that I looked too gay for them. Luckily, I got out of that situation quite quickly. But still, it's kind of things that you think about, and I doubted about going to the police, and the only reason I went to actually go to the police to file a complaint is because you need to file a complaint. There is a thing like statistics, and if you don't file a complaint, if you don't mention that these things happen, nobody will ever know. It's not going to show up in the fancy reports politicians like to read at the end of the year. And otherwise it would be like, hey, look, these things don't happen. Well, they do.
Yeah, it's like, yes, it's just a number, but those numbers do matter because, otherwise you will never be able to hone down on it. It reminds me of, for example, in Sweden, they recently changed the way that they classify sexual assault and rape, and suddenly the number became the highest in Europe, and everyone was saying like, oh no, Sweden is like, being the worst country, etc.
Until you
look at
your own data.
Yeah, like until you see how much like is just like filed, like in general, I think it's about like 1 in 10 like assaults or something that even get like recorded in the numbers. And in Sweden, they started recording something like someone like trigger warning, like when someone like, for example, just comes up to you at a bus stop and starts like touching you or something. They started...
That's assault.
Exactly. But they started putting that into those numbers. And here it's usually not really taken as seriously if you don't have any proof, or if you don't like, if you don't have witnesses, etc. Like I know lots of girls...
Or they just blame your clothing.
Yeah. Like, I know a girl who was at a bus stop and a guy just jerked off in front of her, and that was not considered important. Like, it's
but
just...
he didn't touch you. Come on. What are you complaining about? It's a free show.
And we're straying away here. But I think, numbers do matter, because the way... And I do think we should also maybe lower the bar a bit on what is considered a hate crime, because I think it's similar to sexual assaults, as in like how many of them happen and how many are recorded and taken seriously. Like, of course, you're not gonna, like, someone throwing a beer at you at a party because you look too gay. Like, yes, that's not gonna kill you, but it still is...
It's still a homophobic act.
Yeah, exactly. And it should still be recorded in some way. And like, for example, another good thing actually that happened.
I thought we were talking about good things.
Yeah, we are talking.
We failed.
Yeah, we failed. But a good bad thing that happened. In Italy, there was a judge who said that... What did he say? He said that he would... he made a statement on a radio program saying that he would never recruit a homosexual or wish to use the services of such persons.
Good thing I'm here to recruit you.
Yeah, so, and Italy actually still doesn't have laws to punish homophobic hate crimes, but this statement was actually... judged by the EU, and it was he was like declared guilty. He didn't really like have to go jail or anything like that. But he was like, they did say that it was not in line with the anti-discrimination directive, even if he said it in a time where he was not actively recruiting. Because usually this can only hurt you if you're like actually a recruiter, or like if you're actually like in the process of hiring someone and you're like, I don't take you because you're gay. But like this was actually like kind of a tiny progress. Like, you know, for him to not be able to say that.
It's a precedent, and we shouldn't underestimate the power of precedents. So it's a good thing, and I think we need a whole lot more of them. And there are a lot of cases in my industry of companies or customers asking, I don't want a person who, I would like a person that. It happens, and I think it's just as bad to turn a blind eye to it, and it doesn't matter where in a process you are. If it is a customer and you're exploring a cooperation and that customer says a thing out like that, you won't be able to force him to hire a person of color or an LGBTQI plus Y plus something. Sorry, I completely messed that up. But he cannot force you to not propose candidates who are colorful and in every meaning of the word. And you never know that people get a chance. But then there's also the matter of inclusion, which makes it a whole lot more difficult.
How do you mean?
Well, basically, you also want people to enter a workplace that is not hostile towards them, that is respectful towards them and offers them equal opportunities.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you end up needing to work 3 times as hard to prove yourself over a straight, white male, blonde person with blue eyes.
Yeah. You know, so what you're saying is I should just get myself a girlfriend and go stealth.
Well, I think it's way past that point for me. I think stealth would be like more towards, I'll always be a girl. I think I don't know if I usually fail in boy mode nowadays.
Yeah, no, but like, I mean, I should go stealth.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you, of course. Stealth is the way to go.
Just a good old hetero guy.
Yeah. When we're talking about it, and when I am saying dangerous things anyway, I really disagree with people who go stealth.
Aw, my boyfriend is like not happy about me saying that.
Oh, but we could run away together. No, I'm being killed now. Anyway, we'll cut this out, right?
No.
Oh. What if I start cursing and you need to cut it out? Anyhow, this stealth has its own very...
Yeah, but I think
problems.
that's like a whole other discussion. Like,
no, it has to do with pride.
Stealth, yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with pride. I think it's quite the opposite of it. I couldn't imagine throwing 30 years of my life away. I couldn't imagine identifying as just as a woman and not a trans woman, even if I would pass, which I don't think I do right now. But even when I pass, I can't imagine throwing 30 years of my life away. And I think we need role models today. I think we need to be visible, and we need to show that we are out there and that we are just normal-ish human beings as well.
We definitely need pride. We need visibility, and we need more attention for the things happening around the world. Also, for example, Poland, you know, like I know I wanted to talk about them more, but now we're at the end of the podcast. But like, just the fact that a country can exist within the European Union without like it being an issue that they have anti-LGBT zones is a huge, unthinkable fact, I think. Like,
it's a criminal act, if anything else.
Yeah, but like it's happening, and yes, 40-something diplomats have urged them to stop doing it, but we're still like working together with them. And
just like, please don't do that.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think there was enough attention for that either. There was some attention for it, but yeah,
there was no outrage.
Yeah, I also think it might have been also a bit of the corona effect of like, you can't really, also the Istanbul Convention, if like Turkey withdrawing from that, if there wouldn't have been a ban on most marches, I think it would have been much more like a much bigger visible outrage. I don't think we can underestimate the power that a visible strike has.
Or just the power of minutes in media. If your media coverage is all about the pandemic, then it offers a window to do things that shouldn't see the light of day. Yeah. And they don't, simply because there's not enough attention in the media, because all attention goes towards that one subject that the world revolves around.
Yeah. I think that's a very nice last sentence, because what are we doing here? We are creating media to pull attention to.
Don't hate the media, be the media.
Exactly. And, even if you don't have any sort of media channel or whatever, you can always, as we said, go talk to your friends, go talk to your colleagues, and try to, just be visible, be proud.
What was that sentence again? If they know one of us, they vote for us 2-1.
That's nice. I hope it's true.
It is true, and I stole it from Harvey Milk.
Ah, okay.
I steal a lot of things from him.
You're a big fan. That was a long silence.
Who isn't?
Okay, so see you guys next week, and I hope you enjoyed it, and enjoy Pride.